Hi, I'm Dr. Liz Dubois. I'm an executive coach and a startup consultant. Work with a lot of entrepreneurs who are in the process of starting their own companies, and for executives who have been at the top of their game for a long time and are deciding, hey, this isn't actually what I want to do. I followed this dream because it was what I was told I needed to do in order to be worthy, in order to be a high achiever, in order to get the golden ring. Maybe my parents told me I should go to law school. Maybe I felt like I had to go to medical school in order to be awesome and a high achiever. And I actually figured out I don't really like what I'm doing. I call that the OF now what moment. I work with people to help them overcome that moment so that they can step into the life that they came here to live and live it out in a professional space so that they can impact people while they're here on this planet, doing their special sauce, bringing their magic to the world. What does that have to do with finances? Everything. Whether you are starting a company or you are an executive leading a company, maybe you're a nonprofit executive like I was before I started my company, you are in a place where you're thinking a lot about money. One, because you probably have your own bills to pay, right? Unless you're independently wealthy. Or two, because you've got a staff under you. Maybe you have a lot of staff under you if you're running a big organization. And money, of course, is important for paying your staff. So today we're going to talk a little bit about what to do with your nervous system, how to address your money trauma when you are in the midst of making big career changes so that you can step into the authentic life that you came here to live, as opposed to playing small because you feel like you have to stay in a job you hate, or playing small because you're afraid that if you rock the boat and pursue a bigger dream within a company you've already established, that you're going to make it difficult for your company to grow and scale in a new way that you have in mind or on your heart. So let's talk first and foremost, what is money trauma and why do you care about it? Money trauma is your body, your nervous system's response to socialized fears and the fears that you grew up with that got planted in your subconscious as you were growing up and learning about money, right? Maybe you grew up in a household where you heard things like money doesn't grow on trees, or we can't afford that, or who do you think we are, the insert rich people here, right? We all grow up with a lot of different narratives about money, what money means, how we should spend it, what's responsible to do with money, what's irresponsible to do with money. And through these different messages, right, that we grow up with and that we grow up around through our culture, we come to understand what money is. For a lot of us, what we come to understand is that money is something to be stressed about, that money is something scary, that money is something that might leave if we're not really careful, that money is something that we have to manage really, 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 really carefully, and that we have to have control of. For a lot of us, what that does is it puts us in a really heightened state of emotional distress when we start to think about money. So think about this. What I want you to do is check in, kind of sit deep into your body, and I want you to think about exactly the feeling that you have right before you open your checking account to check the balance. If you feel anything other than like, oh my gosh, I love my money, I can't wait to see how many dollars are in my checking account. Ah! If you feel anything less than that, we dropped the camera. If you feel anything less than that, you have some sort of money trauma sitting within you. This does not mean that you are screwed up and that you had a terrible childhood. This means that your body is accustomed to thinking and feeling about money in a way that makes it difficult for you to go think creatively as you're facing challenges in your business or as you are considering new opportunities. I'm gonna fix this microphone. It's gonna drive me crazy right there. All right, bear with me. Technical details. Human moment. Okay, so I want you to think about that moment right before you open your checking account, or maybe you don't like to open your checking account. Maybe it's something that really freaks you out to the point that you don't do it at all, right? And certainly I've been there in my own personal financial life. I have had moments where I'm like, oh, I know I overspent, I don't know what's going on, but I just don't want to open it, right? And so I would end up in situations where I was overdrafting, right? I was spending money on subscriptions. I know we've all done this, right? They didn't know I was still paying for, right? And so when we have these socialized and often, raised with narratives around money, feelings about money, we get ourselves into situations where we end up doing things with money that we don't want to be doing, right? Paying for subscriptions we don't want to pay for, overspending money that we don't have, making commitments to friends to go out because we feel like we really need to, or maybe we won't be there. Or if I don't go get a pedicure with them, maybe I'm going to be missing out, right? All of these things that are very, very real get activated in our body in ways that make it difficult for us to think creatively about money. And of course, we want to be able to think creatively because that's part of what stepping into our most authentic self is about. It's about stepping outside of the socialized roles that we've been programmed to play, right? We want to play bigger. We want to play authentically. When we are in a state of activated state, where our nervous system puts us into a fight or flight or freeze state, right? We are activated in a way that we cannot think in a linear, logical way. Our body is programmed by Mother Nature to respond to stressful situation the same way as if we were about to be eaten by a saber-toothed tiger. Our brains are not structured to deal with modern life. They are structured to deal with a couple of very narrow threats, right? Caveman days, when our biology was really being formed, right? Any threat, we would fight, flight, or freeze. When you have money trauma and you grew up in these circumstances where your brain and your neural pathways got set up in such a way that when you think about money, it's scary, it's stressful, you cannot creatively problem solve. You cannot think long term. You cannot think in ways that make it really possible for you to dream big. You end up thinking in a very constricted way, not because you're screwed up, but because your biology is wired to put you into fight, flight, or freeze when you are facing a traumatic situation. If thinking about money feels traumatizing, you're not able to think more broadly. So that's what money trauma is. More importantly, what do we do about it, right? So you've recognized, right, you had this moment, and you kind of, how do I feel when I think about opening my bank account? I feel really bad, right? And so you make decisions from a place of feeling really bad. Now that you understand it, right, you've got a little bit of a working definition of what it is and what it feels like. What do we do with this? This is where I work with people. I'm not going to self-promote yet, but what I want to tell you is a couple of tools that have really, really worked for my clients, because I want you to be able to do them for yourself. So the biggest tool that I have is meditation. I know it sounds a little woo-woo if you don't have a I'm realizing Buddha's behind me. If you don't have a meditation practice, don't stress. This is not difficult to do. All you're going to do, you're going to go to YouTube. You're going to, like, in YouTube search meditation music. There's tons of different tracks on there. You're going to stick in your headphones and you're just going to listen for 10 minutes and sit. What I do, I sit with my cup of coffee every morning. I sit like right here and I just sit with my cup of coffee and I listen for 10 minutes to YouTube meditation music. And I just really try to tune in to my breath. I don't think about money. I don't think about anything. The second I start to think about something, right, my to-do list, maybe recording this video, whatever, right, the second I start to think about a thing, I just go, it's not my problem right now. And what I'm doing in that moment is, whether you have a spiritual practice or not, I like to think of it as I'm plugging into the vacuum. I'm plugging the vacuum into the power source. I am the vacuum. I'm plugging into a power source of a bigger, more highest self version of me. I'm plugging into that part of me that does not get constrained by the nervous system response of fight, flight, or freeze, right? And so in that 10 minutes, what I'm doing for my nervous system is telling it, baseline, this is what neutral feels like. I'm reminding myself, and I do this first thing in the morning. I get my son settled, my partner gets my son settled, right? And I go up on the deck, we live on a boat, go up on the deck and I just sit for 10 minutes and I just do nothing. That is your most important thing for overcoming money trauma on the day-to-day. You're just going to sit quietly for 10 minutes in the morning. I know it sounds silly, but what you're doing is you're setting your nervous system up to understand what base level is. The next thing that I want you to do if you're struggling with money trauma is to start having practice around EFT. EFT is probably, you may have heard of it. It's called tapping. Again, YouTube is going to be your friend here. I have some tapping videos on my YouTube channel. I have one on money trauma. You can go to my YouTube channel. It's just Soul Dr. Liz and tap with me for free. What you're going to do is you're just going to start hitting different pressure points on your body while you talk through the things that you're afraid of. So you're going to start speaking out loud the limiting beliefs that you have about money. And I want you to come up with a really specific example, right? Maybe you're about to make a choice about bringing on a virtual assistant, right? You've scaled your company, yay! And you've decided you're going to bring on a virtual assistant because you're totally overwhelmed and oh my God, you really need some help, right? But the thought of paying someone is really, really scary, right? You're making an obligation you're making a commitment to someone. You're obligated to fulfill that. That can be really terrifying if you have a past history where things thinking about money and signing on for obligations feels scary. So what you're going to do in that circumstance, you're going to do this. You're going to say all of the things that you're afraid of. I am going to screw it up. If I hire a virtual assistant, I'm not going to be able to pay her. I'm going to have to fire her because I'm going to mismanage the money. I'm not going to be able to bring in enough revenue. I am going to screw this up. And you're going to say all the limiting beliefs that you're having while you're tapping out these pain points. I call them monkey head, Botox, crow's feet, under eye, between the nose and the lip, chin, solar plexus, bra strap, back to monkey head, and then karate chop. If you're in the middle of traffic and you're having a stress about money, just karate chop. I'm really scared. I don't know what to do. This is going to do for your nervous system what a Control-Alt-Delete does for a computer. It's literally going to make your nervous system go, that's what you want your nervous system to feel like when you are making decisions about money, because you're not going to be in a fight, flight, or freeze stage anymore. You're going to be able to use all of your frontal lobe to think about the choices that you have available and the options that you'd like to choose. So all you're going to do is tap through your limiting beliefs. I'm going to screw this up. I'm so irresponsible. I always screw things up. And then you're going to pivot and you're going to say, even though that's true, I'm choosing to take this on because I know I can figure things out. I always figure things out. I've been able to make good decisions in the past. And you're going to start to use affirmations that contradict your limiting beliefs. The difference here when you're using EFT versus just saying affirmations is what you've done for your nervous system is you've acknowledged the fear that it is feeling, right? Because you've stated the limited beliefs and you've spoken them aloud as true because in your body they feel true. What we do with affirmations generally is we say a bunch of affirmations and our nervous system is like, I don't believe you, bitch. No, you are wrong, right? And so then we get really frustrated. We're like, well, I've been saying all these affirmations and I don't feel better. It's because your nervous system doesn't buy it. And so you can do a lot of work with affirmations and not move really fast. But what I want you to do is do EFT while you're doing the affirmations. State the limiting beliefs, and then you're going to say, even though I think that's true, right? Even though that feels true right now, I believe in myself. I have figured things out before, right? And you're going to start to contradict and tell a new story using affirmations while you're tapping. And your nervous system is going to have processed the feelings and gotten to a place where it's like, okay, we can do this. And you're going to come out from that experience. You can do this for 4 minutes. I do EFT almost every single morning. You can do it very, very quickly. You're going to come out with your nervous system being like, yeah, I believe you when you say a bunch of affirmations, which is where you want yourself to be, right? From that place, you can go make decisions about money, feeling really good because you've processed the nervous system response that is making it difficult for you to make choices with an open mind. So that is my little how to move through money trauma very quickly. I do work with people one-on-one on these issues. I work mostly with high-performing executives who have reached the 6 or 7 figure mark in their business. I do take on a couple newbie entrepreneurs once a financial quarter. I open my cohort up. So if you'd like to apply to work with me, you're most welcome to. My email is drlizdubois@gmail.com. That's just drlizdubois@gmail.com. Send us an email. We'll send you an application. And you can also follow me on social media. On Instagram, I'm just Soul Dr. Liz. That's SOUL.DR.LIZ. And I'm on Facebook too as well, just Dr. Liz Dubois. I hope that this has been helpful. If you'd like to have more engagement on healing money trauma, I do run a 8-week course that goes into so much detail on issues like codependency, spending, managing your budget in a way that makes your nervous system feel safe and without you losing your mind, so you can make more creative decisions so that you can have the kind of financial future like I do, where I bought my dream car in cash. I don't know if you can tell, I live on a yacht. I'm filming this in my yacht. I bought my yacht in cash 6 weeks after I started my company. My partner works from home full time. He's the CEO of a foundation that in part is funded by the work that I do with my company. So you can have a really rich, rewarding life, right? Not just rich financially, but rich in the sense of you get to make your choices from a place of what's possible as opposed to, but you can't do it if you're not healing your money trauma. So if you'd like to work with me on that, I do have an 8-week course. It starts up June 1st, Healing Money Trauma. My winter cohort is about to wrap up, and I'm really excited to run this again in June. If you'd like to apply for Healing Money Trauma, that course is open. You don't need to pass the same kind of one-on-one muster that we do with our one-on-one clients. So if you'd like to apply, again, just send an email, just drlizdubois@gmail.com, and we'll send you the information to register. Thanks for listening. Bye.